Welcome back, everyone, to BVP News for another Saturday morning monthly good news episode. I am joining you this month. I think it's the first time in 2 months. I am very excited to be here on this Saturday morning. And let me tell you, Nick, off from what happened last night, I am very exhausted. I have my I have my hot chocolate. I was gonna say my coffee, but that would be a lie. I have my hot chocolate in hand, and I'm ready to hear this good news.
I was about to say, coffee for you doesn't signal a good morning, it signals a desperate morning. And that's not what we have here this morning. Um, this is a very
If
nice
we didn't
morning.
have the good news, it would be a desperate morning.
But we are here. We are here with some good news. I've got my bathrobe, and at the moment, I just have water with me because, well, it's going to be a lot of talking for me this episode. So, um, just water for now. You guys don't need to hear the disaster that would come from me drinking anything else right now. Um, but it's a great morning. We're here. Everything's jolly, happy. Spirits are high. Um, and yeah, I'm glad to have you back here with us. You weren't here last time, where we honestly, I feel like we had some great stories last month. Not that this month is any different. I am very excited to share the stories this time around, but last month was great. I wish you could have been there for it, but I'm just glad you're back now.
Me too. I always love these episodes, and I think everyone listening loves them too, because there's just so much sadness. And let's be honest, there's a lot of sadness, there's a lot of difficult times right now in the world, in the country, and just hearing good news one after another is just such good news.
Well, you've got stress. If you pay attention to things like politics and stuff like that, there's a lot of stress there. You got stress from your job, you got stress from your friends, you got stress if you have kids, you might be experiencing kids running around all weekend. So, there are little stressors all over the place, but we're here with good news. And good news, it just makes you smile. It makes you a little happier. It makes things seem a little easier. It gets you going for your day. So, I'm just glad that we can be here and share some of this good news and hopefully make you guys smile as much as the stories make us smile.
Well, with that beautiful little wordplay that you just did there, Nick, tell us, what is the first good news story?
Okay, first good news story comes from um, a hospital where two nurses had met right before the COVID-19 pandemic began. So these two started going out. Their names are Kelsey and Jacob. And there was one day where Kelsey got a call up to the rooftop helipad and was told that there was a patient to pick up. When she arrived, however, it was actually her boyfriend, Jacob, who was standing there ready to propose to her. A group of their friends were watching from a nearby building through the window, and it was an immediate yes. There were celebrations on that rooftop helipad. He swept her right off her feet, and it was just a beautiful, beautiful way to propose in that way.
Talk about something straight out of a movie.
That was kind of my thought too. I could imagine the scene. I could see it playing out in my head the entire time, and it just seemed so cinematic.
See, Nick, this is one of those good news stories where you dream, like, you know how, like, there's always that, like, when you get to that point in a relationship when you propose to someone, there's always the conversation of, now you can't just get down on one knee at the restaurant. You have to do fun that she'll remember forever. Okay, that right there, that guy, he just put it on the next level.
Yeah, well, and I felt it was so perfect, honestly, because, again, they're both nurses. They've both been working in this capacity all through the pandemic and all of that, and have been building their relationship through all of that. So I feel like the hospital, where it all began and where a lot of it's been built, most likely, I feel like doing it there, like you said, is going to is that next level. It's going to make it something to remember for sure.
I agree 100% with you. What's the next story?
All right, so story 2 is honestly just an adorable story that I had to include. So, a 4-year-old boy in New Zealand called 111, which, if you're not aware, is basically New Zealand's version of 911. So, he called the 111 dispatch, and the woman who was working dispatch at that point asked what was going on, and he said that he wanted a policeman to come over so he could show his toys to them. And instead of just dismissing the call, instead of just telling him not to call 111 or anything like that, she actually grabbed her police radio, and gave the address. She put out the address and told any police officer that if they were free to go over and check it out. She actually said, quote, "There's a 4-year-old there who is wanting to show police their toys. Over." And again, she had encouraged any police officer who was free and in the area to go and stop by. And Constable Kurt did. He stopped over at this house, and the boy got to show Kurt his toys, and Kurt turned on the lights for him and everything. And then obviously they had a talk. It was Kurt and the boy, and the boy's parents had to talk about when to call 111. Just for emergencies and all that. But, he still went over. The boy got to show his toys, and Kurt had spoken after the fact, and he had been a member of the force for 6 years, and his thought process is that he wants everyone to have trust in the police office, in the police force in New Zealand. And so even if that means taking calls that don't have to do with emergencies and don't have to do with different services that would normally be fulfilled by the police, taking these calls is a way to build trust in all different age groups. And he was happy that he was able to get that trust from that boy and just have that special little moment.
I love this. I love this good news story, but I love good I love news stories in general when it's surrounding the area of I think you've told the story before of where a child was scared that there was ghost in the attic upstairs, and he called the police, and the cop came and went through the whole house with the kid and told him everything was okay. Like those stories, they come out periodically, and they all have their different variants of it. But I just love all those good news stories all around because I think it's like the cutest thing ever.
It's adorable. It really is, because they very easily could have just dismissed this call, could have reprimanded the boy for not or for calling the police
Or
when it
even
was
the
an
parent.
emergency, or the parents. Yeah, exactly. They could have reprimanded either of those parties, but they didn't. They checked to see if there was an available officer, and that officer actually took the time to go over there and actually look at the boy's toys, and actually and turn the lights on for him in the police car, and to give that boy that that special experience he was looking for, to build that trust, and to just strengthen that community tie. And it's just cool in my mind a little bit that this comes from a different country too. We don't just see this here in the US, that it's going around in other countries as well.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you got two good news stories. Can you top it with a third good news story?
All right, this one is just it's pretty neat, I gotta say. And it's another one from overseas. Barcelona, Barcelona, Spain. If you don't know, it's a very busy city. It's one of the biggest cities in Spain, and there are roads that have thousands of cars traveling along them throughout the day. And parents there have been noticing that, and have been trying to come up with ways to promote a safer way for their children to get to school. And it started out as a group of 5 families biking to the school on Fridays to try and promote the building of a safe bike path for these children, whether that be a bike lane or some separate path away from the busy streets. And now this has turned to hundreds of people gathering together to bike and rollerblade and scooter to schools together. This has grown, every week that they've done it, and now they even have a police escort to make sure that they arrive safely. And this is all, again, in an effort to advocate for a safe bike path for children to get to school. Now, they call it the BC bus, or otherwise known as the bike bus. And they're continuing to do this until their voices are heard and until they're able to get this bike path. And they encourage any other parents in Barcelona to join them.
That's honestly a really cool story. It's very unique. I do have to say that, and it really has grown, and I find that so amazing with many of the good news stories that you do report on, with how it starts out with something simple like that, but then it escalates into something bigger like that, where now they're getting a police escort, and it's every Friday, and lots of people are involved.
And these are I want to say these are either my favorite types of stories or close to, because it's just that example of the community coming together on a certain matter that, like you said, started out small. It started out as 5 families just biking together to school on Fridays, to just try and get the word out there about this whole thing. And then suddenly it became hundreds of people that do this on Fridays. A police escort needed to keep everyone safe. It's this huge thing where several different ends of the community are getting involved, and they're all tying together and just becoming this one group that's just ever growing. It's getting bigger and bigger, and all to try and get their voices out there on a specific matter, to protect the children, to have this bike lane built to protect people from the busy streets and all that. And I just love stuff like this. I love community stories like this, and I thought it was a perfect one to introduce here. And again, from around the world.
That is, how is it, Nick, that you always manage to sum these things up better than I always do? But we're basically saying the same thing. Like, you know what? I'm just going to sit here, drink my hot chocolate, and let's hear that fourth good news story.
All right. So Halloween obviously just passed. It's happened just about a week ago now. So I figured, why not throw in a little bit of a Halloween story? So there was a group of children, 3 children, trick-or-treating in England, and they ended up at the house of an 86-year-old woman who told them, unfortunately, she didn't have any candy to bring them or to give to them. And they told her that's fine. A little bit of that Halloween spirit and that joy and a smile is just as good. But then the children decided to then, try to put a smile on her face. So they went to the store and they bought her some chocolates, a card, and a pack of muffins, and returned to the house and gave those things to her, and even threw in a 10-pound note. And her grandson, the woman's grandson, had reported that, she was absolutely lost in the joy of meeting these kids and what they did for her. And her and her family are planning to give these kids gifts in thanks of their generosity, because of just, all the happiness that they were able to bring her by making this little gesture. All started, during trick-or-treating.
Trick-or-treating is generally for the kids, but these kids didn't make the holiday about them and made someone else's day. I'm sure it made a lot more than her day. It made her week, and probably even something that she will definitely remember forever. I know if that was me in that situation, I would remember that forever.
Oh, absolutely. It's like you said, trick or treating normally for the kids. These kids are going out, they're dressing up, and they're looking for candy. They're going from house to house. Yet they want as much candy as they can get. It's just one of those holidays. But they come across this house and this woman who didn't have any candy, And instead of getting upset or angry or anything like that, they actually went out of their way to stop trick or treating, go to the store, get her all, get her these nice gifts, these chocolates and the muffins and the thank you card. They just went so above and beyond anything they had to do in this situation. And it's just remarkable to see. It's amazing to see children go this above and beyond on, especially on a holiday like this. It's just great.
Exactly. And yeah, I mean, you said it perfectly. I agree with you. What do you got for your fifth and final good news story for this Saturday morning?
All right. So far this morning, we've had stories from the US. We've had stories from, we had a story from New Zealand, from Spain, from England, and now we're going to round it off with a story from Australia. Because there is a dog there who has been rewarded for his ability to save koalas. Um, in Australia, if you're not aware, they have been experiencing for quite some time now, over the past couple of years, a lot of wildfires. And this has been happening all throughout the country. And so they've had different conservation groups going throughout the country trying to save all these animals as the fires have spread. Well, part of this is that they use dogs to locate the animals. And in this case, this 6-year-old dog, his name is Bear, he was trained to sniff out koalas. And he has saved over 100 from bushfires. He's been working with a conservation group from the University of Sunshine Coast. And he was given this award from the International Fund for Animal Welfare. And what's crazy is that this dog has quite the past. He was originally a shelter dog. He had originally been given up by his owners because he was too hyperactive and too energetic, too, liked to play too much. He was a little too aggressive for the owner's liking, so they put him in a shelter. Well, it turned out that this hyperactive nature and this playful nature was perfect for this job. So he was picked up by the conservation group, and they actually use this hyperactive, energy and this playfulness as a way for him to find these koalas and save the koalas' lives. And now he's been honored. The person from the conservation group that works with him said that because of this award, he has earned himself extra pets and extra playtime. And so, congratulations to Bear. And I thought this was just a wonderful story.
When you said a dog was saving koalas, I was like, what? But I think this one might be one of my favorite good news stories because A, it involves a puppy, and B, it involves a koala. I mean, the two cutest animals ever.
Yeah, no, this one was absolutely adorable. When I saw the headline and it said that a dog was saving koalas, I'm like, I have to read this immediately. That this is going in the episode one way or another. That was before I even read what the story actually was. But yeah, no, to just say over 100, when you think of 100, typically that doesn't seem like a whole lot of something, depending on what you're talking about. But 100 koalas from bushfires. That's amazing.
It's more than amazing, Nick. It's awesome.
It's awesome. It's adorable. Again, I congratulate this dog. That's awesome. I just love that they were able to use the reason that he was put in the shelter for in the first place and use it to actually um help save these animals' lives. And they didn't try to stifle that energy. They didn't try to, make him calm down or anything. They trained him using that energy that he had and put it to a wonderful cause.
I agree 100%. Nick, you did awesome. Again, another month, amazing good news stories for this wonderful Saturday morning. You never disappoint on Good News Saturday, and quite frankly, Monday and Fridays either. But that is the end of this month's good news episode. Make sure you come back Monday morning because we have some major breaking news for you Monday morning. The infrastructure bill passed the House. We'll have all that and so much more. So enjoy the rest of your weekend, everybody, and we will see you back here Monday morning. Make sure you follow us on BBP News' Twitter account for the latest 24-hour breaking news. Bye.
Bye, guys.